everybody, and welcome to Mystery Creek in Hamilton for the 78th New Zealand Archery Championships. This is finals day, and we're looking forward to matches throughout the day here, and we're going to start it off with the Barebow, and we're going to have the women's bronze medal match between Sarah Bowie of Hamilton and also Neely Sunka of Lower Hutt. And we are going to have competitions throughout the day in Barebow. Then we'll move to the Olympic class, which is recurve, and then we'll end with compound. So the three classes of archery all on display here today, and conditions are pretty good for today's action. We have very still conditions, and we have a nice sunny day at the moment. Fingers crossed it stays that way. There are showers forecast a little bit later on today for the action. Yes, Glenn Lama's my name, and joining me is the chair of Archery New Zealand, Lexi Matheson. Good morning, Lexi.
Morning, Glenn.
And it's going to be an interesting day of archery today. So much on the line today for all of the archers. Are you looking forward to it?
That's correct. It's been a fantastic 5 days so far. Records broken. Personal bests achieved, and who could ask for better than the weather at Mystery Creek? It's sort of like it just turned it on, especially for us.
Well, indeed. When we arrived about an hour ago, folks, I can tell we were shrouded in fog here, but we are going to have glorious conditions for the Barebowers over the next 40 minutes. So we're going to have a bronze medal match, then a gold medal match in the women's, and then we move to the men's matches. So the bronze medal match are the losing semi-finalists. So Sarah Bowie, the 19-year-old from Hamilton, and in her first nationals, here she is there, and she's up against Neely Sunka, who we just saw, 52 years of age, from Lower Hutt, from the Randwick Archery Club. And the differences between Barebow and recurve, we'll get into that in just a moment, and we'll explain the scoring system for you if you're not aware of how the scoring works. Basically, it's going to be a sets format, and this is Neely Sunka, who's going to go first in the first set. And she starts with a 2. A nervous start there maybe for Sunka. And now it's Bowie. So each archer will shoot 3 arrows. And the maximum score an archer can get is 30 points. And then they will win the set and take the 2 set points. If there's a set tie, we'll get a point each.
7.
Quick release for Sunka. So Bowie competing in her first nationals, and she's going for a bronze medal here. Target is 50 metres away.
3.
So 1 arrow left in the first set.
7.
So that should win the set. She's 16 points. Bowie, even she got a 10, will only score 13. So Bowie looking for some confidence there. Comfortable set win there for Neely Sunka, Lexi. And we'll take the first set in this contest.
It's an extraordinary style of bow. As you said before, Glenn, there's compound, which is very much aim at the centre, hit the centre more often than not. Recurve have certain advantages over the bows that they use, and that they have a sight. They have weights that they can put on anything that will improve the standard of their shooting and the capability of shooting a 10. But Barebow, there's often discussion about Barebow as to whether it's the purest form of archery. I don't think it is. I think longbow is. That's a bit more Battle of Hastings type of style of archery. But this, the archers have no advantages. They don't have a sight. Everything's done to the extent that in Europe it's called instinctive archery. It's purely and simply the archer, the bow, and the target. There are no extra special gizmos that can help them shoot well. So when you have a look at the bows, you'll see there are no stabilizers, there are no V-bars, there are no sights, there are no those little bits of extra things that if you're not an archery person, you just go, it's a bow. but it's not. The recurvers have advantages with that technology, and also the range of different types of arrows that they can use as well. So these guys are shooting raw, basically, and there's nothing to give them an advantage over the other archer. It's purely down to the talent of the athlete.
So Neely Sunkar gets the first 2 set points. Best of 5 sets. We can get to the situation where we have tiebreakers in archery, and that's always an exciting way to finish a match. So this one's going to be Sarah Bowyer, the 19-year-old from Hamilton here, to go first in the second set.
4, possibly a 5.
Yeah, if it clips the line, folks, it always defaults to the higher score. So looks like that might have been a 5. So Sunkar's continuing to rein in on the 7. Sunkar, very good archer. She's just switched to Barebow from recurve and is cleaning up. She only has been shooting
3
since October last year. Sunkar here, the 52-year-old from Lower Hutt.
9.
Looks like it's grabbed a 9, so Sunkar's starting to find her range nicely now. Bowyer yet to find hers.
6.
So that means a score there, Bowyer, of 14 potentially. And Sunkar here
6.
looks like she has claimed that set comfortably again. 22.
52 points in that end nearly. That should be enough to take her another set.
And Bowyer, if that first arrow defaults up to a 5, will finish with 14. So it's 2 sets to nil, 4 set points to Neely Sunkar, who's the current North Island champion, winning the District Target and Cloud Championship just a couple of months back. And then last month she won the Kenny Roger Memorial Double, and she also won another title in the Masters Women's Nationals as well. So she's going well at the moment, Neely Sunkar.
It's a mental game, archery, and particularly a mental game for Barebow, in the sense that you talked about before about finding her distance, finding her mark, and that's the key. If you're there shooting a 10 with your first arrow, you just have to do it again and again and again. In that sense, it's like a lot of sports that do rely on repetition, and the practice that these young people will be putting in is substantial. They shoot, most of them, every day, and they'll shoot for an hour, a couple of hours every day. You just saw on the screen there one of the things I love about archery, and these two people are competing against each other, and today winning is really important. But between sets, they'll be there chatting away, and the socialising and the friendliness of the sport is something that we all value tremendously.
Yes, indeed. So Sarah Bowyer down 4 set points to nil now, 2 sets to nil. And she now needs to win this. She can't lose the set, Alexi, to stay alive in the competition. She's got to at least tie it. Now that target, as I touched on, is 50 metres away. And that inner circle, that 10 inner ring, is just 12.2 centimetres in diameter. So it's a long way away when you're don't have a stabiliser on your bow, or there's no sight on your bow. It is a challenging target to hit. Basically the width of your hand.
Yep, certain advantages today in that there is no wind. These arrows are quite light. They're technologically designed to fly in particular ways, and the wind is the killer. The wind is the killer, but we don't have any today.
So Neely Sunkar to go first. She's in control of this bronze medal match in the women's Barebow. We have the women's gold medal match to follow. It's going to be Bowyer to go first.
Miss.
Well, Sunkar just needs to get it on the target. 3 arrows on the target, and it looks like she will take this out. Bowyer in her first nationals, a good learning experience for the 19-year-old here.
8.
Well, that's Bowyer's best arrow of the contest. An 8. possibly a 2. Might have just grabbed the line. Well, that's even this up. Is it given a chance now to Bowie? Well, that means Sunka needs a 5 or higher to win. Oh, and she hasn't got it. Wow, her form deserted her there, Lexi.
Yes,
and
indeed. The pressure shows. It's sudden death. Most sports are like that to some degree, but often you get 90 minutes to play your game.
That's right.
Here you get a very, very short period of time, and it's one arrow at a time, and you can win or lose on the strength of one arrow. And that's a greater variable with Barebow, because even from what you've seen and what Glenn's been reporting to you, we're getting people having misses and shooting 1s and 2s. As the day progresses, that will change, and you'll get to a point where just the compounders simply just never miss.
Well, we're just in the all interest on the target end of the range at the moment as the officials ratify the arrows. Oh, it looks like it is over, actually. Oh, Sarah's still alive, actually. It is confirmed. So there we are. Bowie has been awarded that set. 12 points to 10, we think was the score. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter now. It's just who wins the set. The scores get wiped and they start again. So Bowie is still in contention to win the bronze medal. But again, she just needs to now replicate what we just saw. Do it again and get this match back on the level terms. And of course, you never know, the confidence may rise now in the youngster.
And the pressure will rise on Neely as well.
That's right. So Bowie to go first in this 4th set. Well, she's just missing with a bit too much regularity at the moment, Sarah Bowie.
6.
So it is advantage to Neely Sunka.
Miss.
Well, that's got it. Sunka will get the bronze medal. Even if Bowie gets a 10 here, it won't be enough. She's using all the allocated 20 seconds.
2.
20 seconds per arrow is what
5 points and takes
the
the
archers have, and Neely Sunka will win the bronze medal. She's having a wonderful summer. Couldn't quite make the final of the Nationals here, but the form of Neely Sunka good enough here to win the bronze medal with that 5, and she'll total 18 out of a possible of 30 in that last set to win this by 6 set points to 2. So a very good performance from Neely Sunka, whose good form over the summer continues, Lexi.
Absolutely. She's someone to watch. Everything that she's done this year has just improved and improved and improved. And the youngster, young Sarah Bowie, she's worth watching as well, because she's only been shooting for a very short period of time. And the pressure that goes on in any final, and especially when the cameras are there and the voices are, and you know that all your mates are behind you clapping, that can either bring you up, or it can put a pressure on you that you simply don't deal with. And we know about pressure. On, I think about 4 days ago, Brady Ellison, who is the top recurver in the world,
Yes.
shot 974 in a qualifying round and cleaned up the field, no problems at all. And yesterday, out in the first round of the match play. So it happens to the best.
It does.
That the pressure will get to you.
So we now move to the gold medal match. Micah Voigt up against Haya Sadek. Micah Voigt is an archer out of Mount Albert in Auckland at the Mountain Green Club, and so too is Sadek. So it's a club battle here. And I always think you talk about that pressure, Lexi. I always find that stuff interesting. Someone told me when I was young Don't worry about the pressure. Pressure's only found in pipes, Glenn. And that's what, but it's a funny thing, isn't it, how it affects you? Because technically that's correct.
Yes.
Pressure is only found in pipes. The rest of the pressure is just manifested in your head.
That's right. That's a mental game, archery, a mental game. When I first became involved, I went down to Auckland Archery Club, and there was a gentleman there with a T-shirt on that said, "I think, therefore I miss." And,
Exactly.
It's clearing the head, clearing the mind of all of those distractions. And unfortunately, if there's any group of people on the planet who overthink things, it's archers. They're worrying and concerned about stuff. But to clear the mind, Mushin, the martial artists called it, if you can clear your mind and just concentrate on one arrow at a time, think about one thing at a time, try it. At home, try thinking about just one thing at a time, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning when you've got all those things to deal with.
So we're now moving on to the women's Barebow individual match. Don't forget we'll have the men's matches coming soon, the bronze medal match and then the gold medal match, and then we're into recurve, the Olympic class of archery. We're going to have some teams match play events and then the individuals. So here are the two archers, two Aucklanders, two clubmates going at it here. Micah Voigt, who finished second last year, the silver medalist from last year's Nationals. And last year was slight to change to the format with a mixed competition last year. And this year we do have separate men's and women's competition. So Micah Voigt on the left, she's the 43-year-old against Haya Sadek, a 22-year-old. And again, best of 3 sets. Nice simple format for the archers, of course, and in the sport nowadays. Although we do have a slightly different situation when it comes to compound. We have a cumulative scoring system. But Barebow and recurve have the sets system. So Micah Voigt, she is all focused. She's very experienced in this form of archery. Currently holds all of the New Zealand Barebow records. Although one still has to be ratified after this event. So it's going to be Voigt to go first. 3 arrows per set.
8 points off clear line.
You reckon that might have clipped the line? Give that an 8 at the moment. There's a chance, as I said earlier, if it hits the line, it always defaults to the highest score.
5.
So Sadek opens with a 5. You just feel like the quality of the archery has just increased with Voigt on the shooting line now. Sadek is going to have to be at her best.
5.
So Voigt can win the first set here. Oh, perfect. Look at that. And it's almost taken out the spider in the middle. Brilliant. Easily the best arrow of the day so far. What an excellent start for Voigt. 27, possibly 28 out of 30.
7.
And she has drawn a big line in the sand there. And it's metres wide. Voigt very happy with that first set, Lexi.
28 points in any form of archery, target archery, would be a good score. It was sufficient to take out Brady Ellison in Guatemala City last night. And if you shoot 10s, you can't be beaten. And these two athletes are both from Mountain Green Club, which is rather the hub of barebow shooting in New Zealand. In 2020, World Archery admitted barebow as a form of archery into their record books. And because of the time that they did that, New Zealand was the first country in the world to have a sanctioned event. So of the 23 records that were available, I think it was something like 14 of them were available in outdoor archery, and New Zealand held them all. And they were shot at Mountain Green Club, and these folk were amongst the people who won those world records, some of which still stand. And Micah is out the front. amongst our women archers, but I'd go as far as to say she's amongst our best archers, regardless of gender.
That's right. She set the first world record for 50 metre and double 50 metre outdoor senior women's barebow. And isn't Mountain Green a lovely spot to shoot archery too? Nestled on the up Mount Albert.
Yes.
Lovely little spot.
Owairaka Maunga there. Fabulous.
So Voigt with an outstanding start here, and Sadek has got her hands full.
5.
Sadek with a 5. Well, that's 3 arrows in a row in the yellow zone for Voigt now. Possibly all 4, in fact, after that first arrow. So she has made a blistering start here.
1.
Just perfect conditions too this morning here.
7.
Well, that arrow just a little lower. Flight of slight misjudgment, but this is the thing, minus of alignment errors can have a huge impact 50 metres away on the target end of the range.
6.
And it's interesting there that Sadek's arrows, 2 of them have been, she was perhaps aiming too low, and gravity takes the arrow down. Now Voigt, nice adjustment, and Voigt will claim the second set, 25-12.
That's exceptional shooting. You know, on any range, anywhere in the world, that's exceptional shooting. Micah's, as I've said earlier, she's the sort of market leader, which is a good thing. It's a good place to be out in the front, but it means that every time you step on the range, whoever you're shooting against is out there to do their very best, and often we'll see the best scores shot against our best archers because of that sort of pressure that's applied.
It's good to see the beauty of youngsters coming into the sport like Sadek, who's only 22. Voigt, as I touched on, 43. You know, it's a lifetime sport, isn't it?
Yep.
Too, Lexi. It's not one of these sports that you have to retire because of I don't know, you get injured at 29 or something, you hang on for another couple of years. Archery, you can just start young and go all the way through.
And often the bow style changes. We've got an Olympian who you'll see later on in the day from 1986 who had a few health problems and has now shifted over to compound because it's an easier bow to shoot as the age creeps on.
Oh, you have to tell us who that is. Who are you talking
We're talking
about?
about Dale Lightfoot from 1986 who shot with nearly Fairhall.
Brilliant.
In the 1986 Olympics.
That's fantastic. Looking forward to that. All right, here's the third set here. Now Voigt leading by 2 sets to none, and that's much better from Sadek. She starts with her best arrow, and she needs it right now to stay alive in the contest. She's got to at least tie the set.
9.
So 2 9s. Yes, the challenge of archery is just all over the face here of Sadek. Adrenaline pumps,
5.
excitement, but that's not necessarily what you need on the shooting line. You somehow got to remove yourself from those feelings.
8.
It's a bit like when you're hovering over a 2-foot putt to win a golf major.
That's exactly what it's like. You've got to shoot well for yourself, but you've got to put pressure on the other person as well. And you do that by shooting 10s and X's.
5. So that's 19. So Voigt just needs a 3 or higher to win the gold medal in the women's barebow. A 3 or higher.
9 points.
And she's done that nicely there. So it's going to be Micah Voigt who wins another national title. She finished second in the mixed barebow last year. And Micah Voigt just too good here in this barebow women's gold medal match. And just going back through her scores, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She shot 9 arrows and 6 of them were in the yellow zone, Lexi. That's pretty exceptional.
Hard to beat that, particularly in barebow.
And the judges confirm on target 2, please congratulate your silver medalist, Hajar Sadek.
So Sadek has got second. Still a great achievement for her.
Your gold medalist in the barebow women's individual, Micah Voigt.
But Micah Voigt from Mountain Green and Mount Albert is the national champion in the Barebow women's here in Mystery Creek.
Yeah, Sadek never quite put any pressure on the scoring. She's a fabulous young archer, and she'll be around for a long time. She loves it. We see her training a lot, and Voigt is almost like a mentor to her because they're club mates, but also but out there, no friends on Saturday.
Exactly.
But afterwards, good hug. Just a bit of a plug for the folk out there in red, our judges. Can be a thankless task, but without them we'd be completely lost without their objectivity and the knowledge that they bring to the sport, the knowledge that they bring and willingly share with our athletes, particularly the young ones. The first match that you saw today, the judge there was Logan Andrew, who is our only international judge. He's an international youth judge, and had we not decided not to send athletes to Poland for the World Youth Championships, he would have been there judging that event. And it's great to have an international judge on our team as well, because he brings all that knowledge that he can share with the other judges and the novice judges as they come through.
Yes, indeed. And it's a good thing for you to mention that there, Lexi. Let's get to the men's Barebow now, and we're looking forward to the men's bronze medal match first of all between Regan Walters and Kerry Hall. So their coaching and their support staff just coming to the shooting line now. So let's confirm the two archers that we have. Regan Walters, looking forward to seeing Regan again. He is the defending champion in Barebow. He's from River Glades here in Hamilton, and he's up against Kerry Hall, who competes out of Mountain Green in Mount Albert.
Please welcome on target 1, Kerry Hall.
So Kerry Hall, 58, one of the real characters of the sport.
On target 2,
I think he was a commentator with us last year, and Regan Walters, who kind of burst onto the scene as an 18-year-old last year. Regan Walters losing a tight semi-final to David Wright, 6 set points to 4. Kerry Hall losing to Dennis Bryce, 6 set points to 2. So there's Kerry Hall, 58 years of age. He has got archery basically in his blood. He works in, I think, his full-time job as an archery in a warehouse, an archery warehouse. And Regan Walters has diversified his skills into Barebow. He's a world champion bow hunter, and he's also competed extensively overseas. And here is Regan Walters to start, and he starts with a solid 9 in this bronze medal match.
7.
Numerous New Zealand record holder in Barebow and other forms of archery as Walters, even though he's only 19.
8.
He's a fine prospect for the future, isn't he?
He certainly is. It's not very often we see him in the bronze medal matches.
No.
He's invariably there up winning often at the senior level and shooting higher scores than some of the recurve archers, some of our top recurve archers. A very fine young man.
Well, Walters has got this first set in the bag. That's 26 points. Hall back on 10 with 1 arrow left. And so a comfortable first set win there for Walters, 26 points to 11.
I talked earlier about Mountain Green being the hub of where the pressure goes on. A lot of our athletes, a lot of them belong to the Mountain Green Club, and they train together and they put pressure on each other, and Kerry is a perfect example of that. He's a product of the Mountain Green Club. Regan, I don't think there's anybody in the country who would compete in more tournaments than Regan does, and to be as consistent as he is. An extraordinary young archer, so no surprise to see him here on finals day.
And he likes the Barebow. I remember asking him last year, what do you know, are you going to try recurve? And I think he was fairly adamant that he didn't enjoy shooting with the recurve bow as much as he does with the Barebow.
That's correct. It's that instinctive thing again. I think you've got a lot of sports are like that. You've got the tool of the sport, in his case is Barebow, in his hand, and he's got total control over that. He doesn't have to rely on anything else. There's An interesting thing that happens in archery as you watch for over the few years, each particular style attracts a particular personality, and these barebow archers, they tend to be ebullient, they tend to be bouncy and buzzy, and very serious until it's over, and then they're all mates again.
Kerry Hall to start the second set. Oh, a little wobble in the setup there, and he's got a 5. What you're looking for is the consistency of the setup in archers, repetition, similar release, everything.
7.
And you know they're in a good rhythm.
4.
Well, Hall is just a bit all over the place at the moment, Lexi. He'd be disappointed.
9.
So Walters has got a good lead in the second set. 1 arrow left per archer.
Miss.
And yeah, it is Hall who's just struggling to find the range at the moment. So Walters doesn't even need to get this on the target at all, and he still will win the set.
7.
So not quite the high standards for Walters in that set, but didn't need it. And Hall is yet to find his best form in this bronze medal match.
You talked about it before, and you talked about consistency. You talked about the shot being the same every time. And you've watched Korean archers, for example. If you were filming them, you could film 50 shots, and it would be very hard to tell which one was which. Things happen on the way down the range, but and what we're seeing today is Regan's consistency is winning out over Kerry, and you can talk about it as much as you like. It's you shoot one shot at a time. But it's very hard to get away from the fact that you just shot a bad shot. You're more likely to shoot a bad one again, but our best archers don't. Our best archers will shoot a 6 and then go and shoot an X. And Regan's one of those.
Well, there's Hall trying to find his form. He knows he hasn't shot to the standard that he would have hoped for in the first 2 sets. And he now knows that this is do or die for him. It's Walters leading by 2 sets to love. He needs 1 more set to win the bronze medal. Kerry Hall needs to at least tie the set to prolong it.
7.
Still hasn't found one higher than a 7 out of 7 arrows now, Hall.
That's unlike him. Very unlike him.
9.
Another 9 for Walters. That's his 4th in 7 arrows.
6.
The judge on your screen there is Logan Andrew, who I was talking about before.
8.
Well, Hall really needs a 10 here to have any chance, the way Walters is shooting at the moment.
8.
Gets an 8, so Hall finishes that set with 21, but Walters only needs a 5 or higher to win the bronze medal.
8 points.
And there we are, it is Regan Walters who's got the job done. Just solid shooting over those last 2 sets. 25 he's going to total in that set, and that is 25 to 21, so it's going to be 3 straight sets to Regan Walters, and he'll claim the bronze medal here in the men's Barebow.
On a magnificent day at Mystery Creek. This is almost the perfect venue for archery. Fantastic venue. And just having a look at the men while they're out there with their names on their backs, and they're both sponsored by Archery Warehouse. We have a number of archery businesses in country who have staff shooters, what are called around the world called staff shooters, and they are people who represent that business and have a relationship, a sponsorship relationship with that business. And up in Auckland, I should say, Archery Warehouse do that. Attitude Archery, also Caveman Archery that you were talking about earlier before we went on air. and Jay-Z's Archery further down the country, they do the same, and you'll see people proudly wearing the shirt as the day progresses. And we've got to thank those organisations because they make it possible for events like this to happen.
Well, there are a couple of winners just congratulating each other, and Regan Walters, even though he hasn't got into the gold medal match this year, Lexi, he's a fine prospect, still in his teenage years.
That's absolutely correct, and we've got a lot of, we look at sometimes we look at our top level of archers, our older archers, and we wonder what happens to them once they become 17 and they go to university or they get into relationships and so on. We lose those guys, and the social aspects, we lose them. But I think we've got a set coming through now who will maintain quite a few of those young people. A lot of them have already got international experience, and they're very, very capable people, and Regan is right up the top with them.
So we've got one more match to come in the Barebow competition. It's the gold medal match in the men's competition, and this will feature Dennis Bryce from Lakeview, which is Lake Karapiro, which is not too far from here, and David Wright from Shore Archery on the north shore of Auckland. David Wright coming into this contest having beaten Regan Walters 6-4 in a close semi-final. Dennis Bryce coming in after beating Kerry Hall 6 set points to 2, and David Wright was the bronze medalist last year at the 77th New Zealand Archery Championships in Papakura. So here he is, David Wright from Shore Archery. Again, he has a good record behind him. Barebow Open Match Play gold medalist in 2017, 2018. And here's Dennis Bryce. Not too far for him to come today to compete, just down the road, Karapiro.
Through the mist.
Through the mist,
The early morning here was a bit misty.
Dennis Bryce, a Veterans Indoor World Champion as well. And this is going to be a good match, this.
Yes, it will. These two men putting real pressure on the athletes who we would normally see fighting out in the gold medal, just the same people all the time. But to see these chaps coming through, really exciting to put the pressure on the youngsters.
Well, I hope you're enjoying our coverage here of the New Zealand Archery Championships, and we're underway in the final of the men's Barebow, and it is Bryce starting with a 6. David Wright, his first arrow.
8.
Shooting from 50 metres, same target size as the recurve, and don't forget we have the recurve
5.
action coming soon with teams competitions and then the individuals. Recurve is the Olympic class of archery.
4.
Well, it's all on with this last arrow to see who wins the first set.
4.
So David Wright, 15 Bryce has scored here, and no doubt Wright is just taking his time here. He knows that he only needs a 4 or higher. That's all he needs to win the first set.
9.
And he's done it in style, David Wright there. Nice arrow.
We talked earlier about the different styles of bow and what equipment you can have attached to it. Probably the only variable for Barebow is that they can have a choice of having an arrow rest onto which to lay the arrow. Not all athletes use it. A lot of the purity of just the simple bow. I notice these gentlemen are comfortable with using the arrow rest.
We'll take the set for David Wright. Will be 2 points on target 2.
Yes, we have recurve matches coming soon. We have team match plays events in both women's and men's, and then we have the individual competitions. And then we have compound to end the day again with teams in the men's and women's, and then mixed teams, and then we have individuals coming later in the day as well. So lots of archery to come all the way through to around 3 o'clock here at Mystery Creek today. But right now it is this man who's grabbed the first set of the Barebow individual gold medal match, David Wright from Shore Archery. 21 points to 15 it was in the end in that first set. You can see what it means to him too, Lexi. He is here to win.
That's
and
right.
I love it.
Yes,
I love
me
it.
too. It's non-negotiable. That's what he's there, and he took that extra bit of time with that last arrow, just to make sure that he scored what he needed to do. And in the end, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close.
Well, he finished with a 9, which was absolutely superb. Bryce starts with a 6.
8.
So pressure here on Bryce. He'll have one in the yellow.
6.
Still hasn't had one. He's got nothing higher than a 6 at the moment, David Bryce. Well, 13 points so far to Wright, 12 to Bryce.
7.
Well, that's his best arrow, but the door is well open for David Wright again here. He needs a 7 to win the second set.
8.
And he's got it again. He's done it. He's held on and thrived on that last arrow for 2 sets in a row now.
He's giving the impression of being the Iceman out there.
This
He's
is right.
unflappable. Doesn't matter what Bryce does. The other athlete is absolutely in control of what he's doing, and that's what you have to do in archery. You have to be in control of what you're doing and not be affected by what's happening next to you. Hard to do, but the better you do with your own arrows, the more likely you are to put pressure on the other archer. We always advise archers not to count the other person's score, but it's really hard not to.
Exactly.
To know exactly where you're up to.
It's a natural thing to do, but you're right, Lexi. This is one of the beauties of the sport that I love, is that you are competing against someone, but you shouldn't have any impact on your opponent.
That's right.
There's nothing you can do to upset your opponent. Well, I guess you can if you just shoot 10s all the time.
That's right,
You
yes.
get in their head. But really, even that shouldn't affect your opponent. So it's a...
And you've got no control over whether he shoots 30s.
Exactly.
But you've got control over whether you do.
Exactly. So here's David Wright. Now he's got 2 sets to 0, 4 set points, and Dennis Bryce has got to get the set, or at least tie it. Well, he still hasn't got one in the yellow zone yet. That's 7 arrows now. He's got nothing higher than a 7, Bryce. The door is open here for David Wright once again.
6.
Now's the time for Bryce.
7.
Well, he still can't get there. 2 7s. Well, it's 14 apiece after 2 arrows.
7.
So 3 7s. So to win the gold here, David Wright needs an 8 or higher. That's the task here for Wright, gold medalist. Oh, he's unable to replicate what he did in the first 2 sets there, Lexi. That's interesting.
That's right, the pressure. The pressure got to him, I think. But that makes it a game now. We've got a battle on our hands with these 2 athletes, which is exciting. That's, when you get down to the single arrow shoot-offs and it's 5:30 at night or 6 o'clock, that's you start getting into English poetry time. You know, it's the final ball in the close tonight, or whatever it is. The poem, the Henry Newbold poem.
Yes.
It gets like that.
Well, that's it. So, and you never know, Bryce could come back here and send us to a decider. You just don't know, and it is always fun, the shoot-offs. And it's an old-fashioned shoot-off, and archery is, again, another beautiful aspect of the sport. It's just closest to the centre wins. And that's it. And I think we had a shoot-off in one of the semi-finals in the other classes, which we'll get to a little later. So
Lots of chat out there from the judge, Hanley Baum, in this case, liaising with our DOS tent, Director of Shooters Shooting tent, as we get into the next end.
So here is Dennis Bryce. 21 to 16 was the confirmed scores, in fact, in that last end. So, but again, he needs to replicate that form, and he still hasn't got higher than a 7. He's had 5 7s in a row now, Dennis Bryce. David Wright.
6.
Well, in fact, Wright too, the pressure. He's only had 1-9 in the whole contest.
7.
So David Wright, 1-9 out of 10 arrows, and Dennis Bryce, none. And
but a collection of 7s.
Yes, 6 7s in a row now for Bryce.
7.
Well, Bryce can get this set here with a 10.
3.
Oh boy, now this has opened the door big time here. 17 points Bryce has totaled. So Wright, all he needs here is a 5 or higher.
6.
He's done it. He's done it. He's going to total 19 points, and that's going to be good enough, with Bryce only totaling 16. In fact, 17 in that end. So it's going to be David Wright to win the national title for 2021.
Interesting watching Wright at the end of that, knowing full well that he had to shoot a particular number to take the set and to take the medal. And it was almost, I was sitting here watching him and thinking, I can see exactly what's going through your mind. Last time I only shot a 5. But he did it, he pulled it off.
Well, there he is, David Wright. He's the national champion, the gold medalist in the men's Barebow 78th New Zealand Archery Championships here at Mystery Creek. Glorious morning for archery, and a wonderful match between these two. But David Wright from Shore Archery gets the gold medal, so we can congratulate all of the winners. In fact, there they are, the two winners. They're Micah Voigt and David Wright, who won the women's and men's respectively. And congratulations to the bronze medalists as well, Neely Sunka, who beat Sarah Bowyer by 6 set points to 2, and Regan Walters winning the men's Barebow bronze, winning 6 set points to 0. What we're going to do now, folks, is take a quick break while the officials move the targets back, and we're going to come back in about 15 minutes, I believe. 15, says our boss. 10:15. We're going to come back at 10:15 for the recurve action, which is the Olympic class of archery. So look forward to your company then.